Good morning. I'm the York Myke, and this is Roll Right Radio, Roll Right Radio's YouTube channel. So, welcome. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on this week and what we're going to be talking about this week. It's there's so much going on, and I know, again, I'm going to say it. I say it 1,000 times. People say, Mike, it's not all politics. Well, it is all politics. You're riding motorcycles, you're driving, you're doing this, you're doing that. You got a job, you got this. The rules, the regulations, everything that is affecting your life is affected by this last election. If you're a Democrat and you're happy about it, well, hey, I don't understand that. I just don't. More rules, regulations, more government control, more jackboot of the government on your throat. You know, the government is just, it is what it is. The less of it, the better. The more you could do without the government forcing you to do it. As a matter of fact, government should incentivize us, not force us, incentivize us. And that would work, and it always has worked. But first I want to talk about, tomorrow is a big day in America. Tomorrow is a big day in America. It's February 22nd. But most people, if I say that, have no clue, because we've dumbed down all these things. Tomorrow is Washington's birthday, February 22nd. I know that because when I went to school, February 2nd was a holiday. It was a day you got off school to celebrate Washington's birthday. George Washington, the father of our country. First in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen. That was George Washington. And I got to tell you something. If you want to study something, read books, you want something exciting, if you want to go to Netflix, if they had a movie, a history about George Washington, probably be the most exciting Netflix series you could possibly watch, because he was one exciting dude, man, the father of our country. And then, of course, February 12th was Lincoln's birthday. Abraham Lincoln. Like him, love him, hate him, whatever. Most people in this country, probably 95%, say that he's the greatest president the country ever had. I think it's George Washington, but, a lot of people say Lincoln. But Lincoln's birthday doesn't exist anymore as a holiday. Neither does Washington's birthday. Because when Nixon was the president, he said, instead of doing these holidays on the day they fall in during the week, let's do them all on a Monday so everybody gets a 3-day weekend. Well, it's nice to have a 3-day weekend, but if the holiday fell on a Tuesday, you get a 4-day weekend. So, it's just make the best of it without the government imposing itself, and we'd be a lot better off. And you'd have a better understanding and appreciation for Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, history itself, understanding it and learning about it and appreciating it. That's just my opinion. I'm just a person. I'm not a government person. I'm not a political operative. But that's how I see it. So tomorrow, George Washington's birthday. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about George Washington on the podcast. Yeah, we don't do a podcast on Mondays, but tomorrow I think I'm going to make a special day out of it, because it's George Washington's birthday, the father of our country. You go to Washington, D.C., and you got the Washington Monument. You got the Lincoln Memorial. These are big things for America. And they deserve to have a day dedicated to each of these lives so that people understand it. Now, you can't have, I get it, you can't have a Thomas Jefferson Day and a John Adams Day and a Benjamin Franklin Day. I get all that. But you can have a George Washington birthday day. And a Abraham. What happens to, President's Week? Well, if you want to designate a week in February, February's already designated. Let's see, February, you got Groundhog Day, so it's the do-over day. You've got Black History Month. You've got the impeachment month, because it seems like every February we have an impeachment lately. So there's a lot of things that go on in February. So make a President's Week. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't give up on the celebration of George Washington's birthday and Lincoln's birthday. So that's a big deal. What else is going on this week? The impeachment thing, I think we can kind of sort of lay that to rest. We've got all this COVID stuff going on. and the Cuomo stuff going on. We're going to be talking about Cuomo. Man, you know, what's interesting about Cuomo and his own people now, they're not turning on him. They're finally stepping up. And they're saying, we're not afraid of you anymore. It seems this guy was intimidating people to get everything he wanted, twisting arms. You know, he wasn't breaking heads, but he came close. And now the Democrats are saying, hey, we've had enough of the intimidation of Cuomo. He really messed up. Not only did he put old people back in old age homes, nursing homes, where they died, people with, quote, COVID. So we took people who had COVID and put them back in nursing homes when he asked for the hospital ship and the conversion of Javits Center just for COVID. And instead of putting those people in those places, he put them back in nursing homes, and then they said 9,000 people died. And he denied he had anything to do with it. Now we find out it's over 15,000 people who died, and they're still counting. And he's still denying it. And now the Democrats are saying, enough of that. Admit it. So we're going to talk about it. But, you know, I have some friends who are cops. Yeah, believe it or not, I really do, and I appreciate them. When I was a kid growing up, the cops would, you know, we were terrible. You know, we were juvenile delinquents. That's who we were. We really were. We were a lot more than that, actually, but we certainly were that. And the cops would, you know, chase us off the grass in the projects. We would be sitting around, 12, 13 years old, hanging around in the parks in the middle of the projects, which was designated for the kids during the day when we were kids. Monkey bars, swings, you know, seesaws, all the stuff that's illegal today because of all the lawsuits over the years. Every time some kid got hurt in the park on a seesaw or a swing, there goes the lawsuit. Well, as that happened, those things are gone. But there used to be these little parks in the middle of the projects. We had probably 2 in the project I grew up in. But at night, we would sit around drinking beer. That's right. And we'd figure a way to get beer. Look, it happens, man. You could do it. If you're a kid in America, especially in Brooklyn, New York, you can figure out how to do mostly anything. And we used to figure out how to get beer all the time and be drinking at night. Maybe not on school nights, but we'd be there. And then the cops would break it up and chase us away. Of course, they would chase us away with all the other illegal paraphernalia. We had zip guns, you know, I mean, all that stuff. But I always learned from the real bad guys, don't get mad at the messenger. The cops are there to keep the peace. They're doing a hard job. They're walking around exposed to a criminal element, but you know, if we want to get away with something, we know where they are. We know where their beats are and when they're going to be where and how. So go figure it out. They don't know where we are. They don't have the luxury, the advantage of being told. They don't have intelligence that says, hey, New York Myke and his buddies are going to be at this park at this time. Now, they probably know because of history, and we're too stubborn to say, okay, we better not go there. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to the carriage house. That's where we used to put all the bicycles away. We had this. We could have done that, but we didn't do that because we were in their face. And they would come over. And then they would find out who robbed what store, who did this, who did that. They'd come over. We would steal cars, do things. We were asking for trouble, and we knew it. Whatever we were doing that was causing trouble, we knew it. And the cops knew it. And they would hit us with those billy sticks when they chase us. And, you know, these guys are what, 25, 30-year-old guys? They were old guys to us. But they would chase us. We're kids. We could run for days. And we would run. When they got us, boom, that billy club over the back of my legs. I could still feel it. But that's the way it was. My parents didn't sue him. My father would grab me by the back of the neck and drag me home from the precinct. And there'd be a price to pay that was a lot bigger when I got to the house than when I was in the 62nd precinct, okay? But those days seem to be gone. Now, everybody thinks the cops are bad guys. The crime got worse and more serious. It did. It did. And the cops We're more exposed on a day-to-day basis to serious crimes. We see cops getting killed all the time. Every year, go to the police memorial. Every year, the week before Memorial Day, they have the police memorial in Washington, D.C. And you'll see how many cops died this year and how many more names are on that memorial. It's pretty disturbing, and it should be. And then they get blamed for some sort of like, they're picking on and killing black people as if these people are innocent. They're killing white people. They're killing criminals, okay? That's what they're doing. And sometimes it's excessive force, and they're put on trial for it. They lose their jobs or they go to jail. If they're found guilty of using excessive force, they're certainly going to be found guilty if you find that what they did is based on racism or whatever that's wrong. So these cops are out there paying the price. Cuomo, who denies culpability for the deaths of these people that he sent back to nursing homes. And he won't even say, if he'd say, hey, I made a mistake, I was wrong, he'd be forgiven. But he didn't. He just totally denies it and covers it up. Now we find out not only is he denying there were 9,000, he's covering up that there were over 15,000. So it's dead wrong. But you know what he just did within the last couple of weeks? He put in a law that if a cop is or even was accused of, there were allegations against that police officer, those allegations are made public. They were never made public. An allegation? Why would you make an allegation public? Why? It's an allegation. It's not proven. That person, that cop, wasn't proven guilty, wasn't proven anything yet. But there's an allegation. So I have a friend who's a retired New York City cop. He's been off the job for almost 10 years now. And he shows me on his phone, there it is. There were allegations made to him during his career over a period of how many years? 3 times in a 10, 12, 15-year period, whatever it was. He was retired because of medical reasons. He was shot. And so here it is, all these years later, that he's off the job, allegations show up. What's that all about? I don't know how that's going to affect his life or any other cop's lives. But those are allegations. You think that's right? So here's Cuomo, who won't even embrace the fact that he made a mistake. And it wasn't a mistake to cover it up. It was a crime. That's not making a mistake. He planned that because he knew he was covering it up. He might have been making a mistake when he sent those poor people back to nursing homes, but by denying it and covering it up the numbers, that's criminal. So he now comes out in the last 3-4 weeks, whatever, during this whole time, and says it's okay to publish the allegations against God. This guy's off base. Some other things we're going to talk about this week. We got to talk about Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh is just what a huge factor in American history, because one of the most important things we have is the Bill of Rights. We have the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, the first 10. And the very first one, the right to free speech, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. This is huge. In a country where we value free speech, here we have Rush Limbaugh, who takes that and brings it to a level that is deserving of a full amendment, and brings it to a level, changes the history of radio, of talk radio, of AM radio, probably saved AM radio from total extinction. And this man was the champion of conservative principles and ideals in America. And in a way, we didn't even know we needed it. But then he steps up And he has this incredible way of imposing himself and his beliefs and bringing us together with that as ditto heads. Or, or I remember the days in the 90s going to Rush rooms, restaurants that would play Rush Limbaugh, and we'd go there and eat lunch and we could listen to Rush on the radio during lunch hour. It was awesome. The effect that he has had on this country is something. The left wing hates him. They hate him. Look, I have no animosity at all towards liberal commentators, and there's plenty of them. Man, there's plenty of them. And God bless them. But that's what freedom of speech is. That's why I always talk about the fact that hate laws, hate speech, that's what the First Amendment's about. You can't change. If a person has an emotional reaction to something, whatever it is, if it's racist, if he or she hates black people, hates Jews, hates Puerto Rico, I don't know, whatever it is. Hey, say it. I want to hear it. I want to know. I don't want it to be a secret. If they act on it and do anything criminal, that's different. Then they should be subject to criminal charges for doing something criminal, whether it's burning a cross or any other thing that damages another human being because of race, because of what, not because of hatred. You could love, you can hate, you could feel. How can you have laws? How can you regulate people's feelings and beliefs? America was founded on our freedoms to think and believe and feel and say just those, whatever. Rush Limbaugh was a perfect example of that. And the left's reaction, even something like a Bette Midler saying, oh, he's going to rot in hell or something to that effect, that's wrong. All these other left-wing, just plain old Democrats, not even left-wing Democrats, just normal Democrats, saying hateful things about this man that passed. He elevated our rights as American citizens, left, right, center, to talk about and bring the things that we love about America. And if you're liberal, you got things you love about America that I might not love about America, but you got the right to talk about it on air and convince me, because maybe I'm going to listen to my radio. I do. Talk about it on CNN or MSNBC or whatever, because Rush Limbaugh gave that to you in a way you never had before. And it's important. So we're going to talk this week about Rush Limbaugh. There's some other things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about racism in America. What's going on? You know, in the 60s, I was in Mississippi fighting against segregation, trying to force places to serve my buddies who were black. We were all serving America. We were wearing the uniform. If they couldn't go in and get a cup of coffee or a donut when it was raining outside, they had to stand outside in the rain to wait for the bus, and I'm inside getting the donut and the cup of coffee with my buddies. No. So I brought my friends inside. We got thrown out. I got arrested. One guy that got arrested. But, you know, we were outraged by this. So let's talk about that, because the remedy, civil rights, was important. Fighting for civil rights was important. But does civil rights extend to affirmative action? Are you gonna then say, wait, we're gonna make up for racism with racism? We're gonna create more racism. Well, that didn't work, did it? Because that was 50 years ago. If it worked, then we'd all be friends, compatible and everything, which my black friends, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever, hey, I'm fine with them, they're fine with me. With all the things that bother us about each other, it's not the color of our skin or our religious beliefs or our heritage, where our grandparents came from, or our parents. That's not it. We're fine with it. I don't know who all these people are or have all these problems with it. But we went from affirmative action to diversity. Diversity. Whoa, we've had 20-something years of diversity, everything. I love diversity. When you get the best person for the job, whoever that person is, male, female, gay, straight, black, white, anything in between, I don't care. The best person. And whatever you end up with, that diverse group of people representing our community, our state, our country. That's it. Accept it. That's diversity. Not saying, hey, we need 2 black guys, we need a Jew, we need at least, no. That's Chinese diversity. Yeah, Chinese diversity. One from column A, one from column B. That's not how we do it in America. No. And we could tell jokes about each other. What's wrong with that? Let's go back. Remember Polish jokes? There were Jewish jokes, Jap jokes. That was not Japanese, that was Jewish American princess jokes, black jokes, Italian jokes. It was all, yeah, every once in a while, somebody would get a little angry, cross the line. This is interaction, man. Why has the government got to step in and be involved in that? It's just wrong. It's just wrong. We're human beings. We don't need supervision of somebody who a group of people think are smarter or better or whatever, wiser, and they're going to come in and make up these laws that I can't tell a Polish joke? Why? Why are we allowed it? That's what we've allowed, and it's wrong. So we got to talk about that, because now all that's coming, it's coming to a head. It went from affirmative action to diversity. Now it's inclusion and equity. And what is that about? That's about white privilege. That's what that's about. That's about saying that because I'm white, I have some privilege that I didn't deserve, that got me whatever I got in life, that a person of color or whatever didn't have. So the government's going to come in and make up for that. Really? In America? Is that really what we want? Now there's an assemblyman in California saying that every board of directors has to have colored people involved. People of color, colored people, I don't know what he wants. If there's 4 people on the board, he wants 2 of color, black, Mexican, I don't know what he wants. If there's 9 people, if there's 4 people up to 9 people, I guess 2 people. If it's 9 people, it's 3 people. So that's his law that he's putting in. And then he wants underrepresented communities to be. How do you do that? What's underrepresented? The smallest community in San Diego might be La Jolla. Well, I don't know. I mean, is that underrepresented because they're a smaller community? There's less people? What is the definition of all this? I'll tell you what it is. It's racism, plain and simple. They call it identity politics. It's got to go. We got to stand up for this. To this, we've got to stand up for us as Americans and individuals capable of fighting for our own. You know, learn from the NFL, the NBA, the Major League Baseball. You go try out for the NFL. They're going to get the best person for the job. Do they care if he's black, white, Puerto Rican, guy from the islands, Patrick Mahomes? Great people from all over the place. I don't even know the religions of these people. But whatever they are, they didn't enter the equation when people tried out, when they go to the combines for these NFL programs. And these programs, but these guys, these people who didn't make it, they're all exploited. They're exploited. That's what you see on TV. These combines, they're exploiting the ones. Well, how do you think the ones that don't make it feel? How about the black guy that gets out there and races against a white guy and doesn't win? Oh, he's supposed to be better. He's supposed to be faster with you. Come on. Really? Is this what this country's coming to? Let's not allow it. Let's stand up as individuals and fight against it. That's what we need to do. stand up for each and every individual. Each and every individual, whatever that person's race or background is. So that's what we're talking about this week on the podcast, Roll Right Radio. Roll Right Radio at Excalibur Cigar and Scotch Lounge in San Diego. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get down there tomorrow morning and talk about it because it's Washington's birthday. Hope you tune in. Thank you for being there. Look forward to it. And get ready to check out my YouTube video on riding to Daytona. That's coming up too. I'm York Myke, Roll Right Radio. Thanks for being here.